That's the sound of a man who has just beaten Super Mario Bros. The fastest in history. The sound of someone who achieved the legendary 453 time. Over the past year on this channel, we've been on a journey, exploring every possible avenue to beat Super Mario Bros. Faster. And this video is the final stop on the tour. The hero of our story today is Jeremy MKW. How did he manage to get 453? Well, he did it on the Game Boy Color version. Today, we'll break down the speedrun for Super Mario Bros. Deluxe. I'll explain what it took to make 453 finally happen, and how not only is 452 also possible, but even 451. So stick around for this fascinating version of Super Mario Bros. And all the technical details that go into speedrunning it. Before we break down the run, I have to talk about this video's sponsor, Factor. Factor lets you plan meals for the week and have them delivered to your door. They're ready to heat up and eat in just a few minutes, so obviously one of the biggest perks is convenience and saving time. And even though they're microwave meals, they are chef-crafted meals, which I will personally attest to. They're definitely seasoned well and have really good flavors. Also, a big thing I appreciate is the amount of variety. Let's be honest, it's super easy to end up eating the exact same stuff every week. But Factor can be a good option to have more variety or even try some new things. Just this week, I got to eat salmon, Indian food, Mexican, and Peruvian food, so that was fun. If you want to try Factor, get 50% off your first box and 20% off your next month of orders by using my link. Click the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen. Alright, first, we need to cover what Super Mario Bros. Deluxe even is. I'll try to keep it short. I want to talk about the speedrun sooner rather than later. But yeah, this game is actually really cool. It's an early Game Boy Color game, and it includes a ton of bonus content. There are modes like finding hidden red coins in every stage and trying to get a high score, and racing Boo through custom new levels. For being on Game Boy, I think it looks and plays great. They did have to compromise for the smaller screen, which makes some sections of the game kinda weird. But you can actually move the screen around as needed to avoid blind jumps and stuff like that. And moving the camera will actually become important in the speedrun later. But yeah, overall, it's a pretty solid port with a great list of bonus features. I will say, the physics are a little bit weird. Mario runs at the same speed as the original, but his acceleration and jump physics are definitely different, and feel a little strange. The different physics and the screen size affect the speedrun quite a bit, so this version has a lot of different strategies and its own list of interesting new tricks. So let's get into it and break it all down. We'll start by analyzing the current world record, 453.6 by Jeremy MKW. Jeremy's first order of business is to get a mushroom. This is already a huge deviation from the original game. You'll see why we want power-ups later. For now, Jeremy does the classic speedrun strategy of going in this pipe to get to the end of the level faster. Taking the pipe saves about 3 seconds in the original version, but actually saves about 5 seconds here. And the reasons why will showcase just how different this game is right away. The transitions after entering pipes are faster, Mario falls down faster into the room, there's different movement physics through the room, it's all different really. And the pipe transitions aren't the only transitions that have changed. The end of each stage is going to be a lot different. As Jeremy approaches the flagpole, he actually grabs the bottom of the flagpole instead of the top. Isn't that so weird? Like, who would expect the bottom to be faster? Hello? Oh, right. Just those of us who have spent too much time with the NES version. On that version, the flag takes the same amount of time to come down no matter where you grab it. But grabbing the top lets Mario accelerate towards the castle better as he jumps off. In Deluxe, if you grab the flag too high, you'll waste extra time waiting for Mario to slide all the way down. And you can actually grab way above the flag in this game. They made it impossible to jump over the flag, and instead you grab thin air and start sliding down. So yeah, all of this to say, in this version, we want to grab anywhere below the flag to avoid losing time. Once the fanfare plays and the timer finishes counting down, it's time to transition to the next level. A brand new addition to this game is this little map screen that greets us between each stage. It shows Mario making his way towards the next level in a fun way that reminds me of this map in the original game's manual. The best part of this map screen though is that we can skip it. You can advance past this screen immediately and don't actually have to wait for the animation to play out. That makes transitions between levels super quick, and is a big reason this version is so fast. But again, it's not just this. There are so many differences between the games, amidst all the different strategies, and a lot of differences in animations and transitions. This is a very similar situation to when I covered the All-Stars version of this game, and you could see it traded the lead back and forth constantly with the original version. The exact same thing happens here. The Game Boy version often finishes levels first, then loses a bunch of time with the slow flagpole animation, and then saves it all back with the fast map transition between levels. Just like with the All-Stars version, it's kind of wild that the world record for Mario Deluxe comes out so close to the NES run, with all these differences. And we're just getting started. Let's move on to 1-2 and see another big difference in strategy. Right at the start, Jeremy finishes powering up by getting this Fire Flower. Both the mushroom and the Fire Flower will save time throughout this run. Being Big Mario saves time, and shooting fireballs saves time. One minor way that being big saves time is whenever there are 1 block high gaps like this. If you slide in and then stand up, Mario's head is now in the wall, and you can see the wall pushes him out to the right. The wall also pushes Mario to the right, even when you're already moving to the right. You get a boost from the wall on top of Mario's normal maximum running speed. Continuing on, Jeremy makes his way through the rest of 1-2, sniping enemies with fireballs to clear them out of his way. It's all pretty standard, but here comes the big moment. The biggest moment in the run, the bottleneck. This is where runs go to die. Yeah, the screen crunch really didn't do us any favors here. What happened exactly? Here's what this looks like with the camera in a better spot. Now, this might just look like your standard clip here in 1-2 to get to the minus world. But for one, he didn't go to the minus world. And two, well, this clip is so much worse. Here, listen to Jeremy describe it.
Like, I'm not exaggerating when I say it's like maybe 1 in 50 with runs out of 1-2. Okay, this game is fun when you're going for like sub 5. But when you start adding 1-2 clip, it gets really, really bad.
Honestly, I haven't been able to figure out all the details of how this clip works. Most of the time you don't go through at all, and sometimes you even have this happen. No idea what's going on here, you're like halfway in. You can let go of all the buttons and he's just stuck there. I assume what's happening is you get in far enough for Mario to land here and stand up, but the wall quickly pushes you out to the left. Mario's head is in the wall up above now though, which pushes Mario to the right, and now you're in an infinite loop. To make it all the way in here, you need really precise positioning. But yeah, anyway, this is the hardest part of the run. It's really hard to get through the wall here. This clip is the main reason for getting a mushroom to become Big Mario, so we can reach the warp zone faster. There is no minus world glitch. The warp pipe simply works from the get-go and sends you to World 4. And because we got a Fire Flower, we can clear the plant out of the way and enter immediately. This is the reason shooting fireballs saves time. There will be several pipes we need to go in, and with fireballs, we can avoid waiting for the plants to go down. One last detail about this section is that this clip only works on the Japanese version of the game. I think the clip itself would work on the English version, except Mario can't jump high enough on that version. See, this game came out a little bit later in Japan, and in the interim, they must have decided that they wanted Mario to be able to jump a little bit higher. They tweaked the physics, and you can see he goes a tiny bit higher now. The difference is more obvious with running speed jumps. But yeah, Jeremy played his run on the Japanese version, so he could do this really hard clip in 1-2 and get 453. That's right, it's not enough for us to play the fastest version of Super Mario Bros., the Game Boy version. We have to also play the fastest version of the fastest version, a Japanese copy of the game. Welcome to speedrunning. Alright, finally, we're on to 4-1. Nothing too crazy in this level, except he does do this random backwards jump in the middle of the level. This is actually to avoid fireworks at the end of the level. If you're familiar with runs of the NES version, then you're familiar with this. If you finish a stage with the timer ending in 1, 3, or 6, then 1, 3, or 6 fireworks will go off. What you may not be familiar with is slowing down to avoid one single firework. The whole level ending sequence is just different between the two versions, and having one firework go off here wastes about half a second. The original version waits for everything to play out and then says, alright, count down 6 more frame rules and then transition. The thing is, it begins the countdown as soon as the last firework starts going off. so the animation of the last firework doesn't slow the sequence down at all. And of course, when there's only one firework, that one is the last firework to go off. So it doesn't waste time. Mario Deluxe, on the other hand, doesn't have frame rules. Did I forget to mention that until now? Yeah, every frame counts in this run. In some areas, that means more room for optimization, and that it's a lot harder to play optimally in this game. But there are also moments like this, where there's very little room for optimization, because we have to waste some time, or else we'll make fireworks go off. Oh, and just to be clear, there isn't any kind of flagpole glitch in this version. Optimizing 4-1 is exclusively about grabbing the flagpole as soon as the timer ticks down to 340. Wait, why do we have to slow down to get 340 anyway? The original gets 340 without any slowdown. Once again, there's a myriad of differences at play here. For starters, you start in a different position. In the original, Mario starts halfway past the castle doorway, but on Deluxe, he starts in the middle of the doorway. Wait, that means that Deluxe has to travel farther. Why do we beat the stage faster? One reason is, Mario actually accelerates faster on this version. He starts behind the NES version, but quickly gets ahead. The original was actually already close to 341, so I guess the faster acceleration was enough to push it over the edge. Wait, actually, I know of a way to get 342 on the original version. If you go in the pipe and have really good movement through here, you can finish the stage with 342. This isn't faster in real time, since you have pipe transitions to sit through, which frees the timer. But maybe this strategy could be good for Mario Deluxe, since you have to wait out fireworks otherwise. I had the idea for this while working on this video. I brought it up to King Kappa, who made the current TAS of this game, and he went to test it out. He tasked going in the pipe, moving Mario cleanly through the underground. He approached the flag, and 345? Whoa, I did not expect that. It helps a lot that you can hold right to land up on top of these blocks in this version. Alright, moment of truth. Will this be enough to save time over getting 340 and waiting out the fireworks? No. Unfortunately, the pipe transitions just take too long, and it comes out a little bit slower. That's sad. This would have been a really cool improvement to the run. Oh well, let's move on to 4-2. This is the level with the very infamous wrong warp, which uses the pipe to reach the warp zone room instead of climbing a vine. A trick which saves 4 seconds on the original version. But that trick doesn't work in Mario Deluxe. We're forced to climb the vine, so we gotta get up here as fast as we can. Jeremy had a little hiccup here. He meant to jump around this block, but accidentally jumped into it instead. This delayed him getting up to the vine and lost some time. But it's not quite as bad as it looks. Optimizing this climb is a little unintuitive. On the original, you can out-climb the vine, so you want to get up here as fast as possible and get climbing right away. On Game Boy though, you actually have to wait for the vine to grow all the way up before you'll hit the transition. Whenever Mario reaches the top of a vine, he'll do this little dance as he climbs off of it and falls back down onto it repeatedly. We can see him do this dance with the 4-2 vine when we reach it quickly. As long as you get him dancing before the vine grows all the way, you're good. The important factor for optimizing this part is actually how soon you hit the vine block. The earlier you hit the block, the sooner the vine will start growing, and the sooner it grows all the way. So yeah, because of all of that, Jeremy didn't lose as much time here as you'd expect.
It still might be able to 453.
Yeah, I think it might be possible. With that part done, Jeremy's in the warp zone and warps to World 8. He's halfway to the world's first 453.
That only lost 0.2.
8-1 doesn't have any special tricks, it's just a level full of some good solid platforming. Jeremy does a nice fireball bounce to snipe this Koopa and get it out of the way. One thing I'll point out that can be kind of awkward in this version is Mario rises slower with his jumps. It can really throw you off if you're used to the original. Jeremy keeps clearing stuff out of the way and gets near the end of the stage. This level, unfortunately, also ends on a 1, so Jeremy once again waits around for the timer to tick down to avoid fireworks. Alright, now for 8-2. The beginning of this stage is way harder. Getting under this falling spiny egg at the start is super hard.
I'm pretty sure the jump at the beginning of 8-2 is a 2-framer. It might be a 1-framer. That's probably a 2-framer. I don't know.
Don't worry, Jeremy. That's what I'm here for. Let's answer his question. Is there a 1-frame window for this jump, or a 2-frame window? Well, there's sort of both. You have to jump late enough to not get hit by the spiny, But if you jump too late, you hit the wall. There's only one frame to jump on where you avoid touching both, unless you start crouching on the perfect frame. Then you'll slow down just enough to avoid the wall without slowing down so much that you get hit. So yeah, you need a frame perfect jump, unless you do a frame perfect crouch. Sometimes it's a 1-framer, sometimes it's 2. I guess this is the mythical 1.5 frame trick. Alright, the next key moment in 8-2 comes at this pipe. You have to slow down if you want to avoid bonking into it. Doing this is going to be even harder on Game Boy because of Mario's jumps rising more slowly. Let's all watch how Jeremy gracefully jump. Huh, that was terrible. Surely he could do better than that. Alright guys, you're not gonna believe this, but he again has to slow down to avoid getting fireworks. Going full speed in 8-2 nets you a 343, which would make 3 fireworks go off. Because of that, he goes ahead and just slams right into the pipe to make this part easy and to waste the necessary time. Now, the enemies in this next section are in weird places on this version. He does some nice fireball snipes to get them out of his way and finishes up the stage. You know, I'm honestly surprised you can't get a 344 on this version, since you can get 343 on NES. I think the slower rising jump is the big culprit, since you have to slow down a lot more on the pipe jump. Anyway, on to 8-3. This is the classic Hammer Brothers stage. These guys are typically very random enemies to deal with in Mario games. In speedruns on NES, the randomness is usually mitigated by planning which frame rule you'll arrive at this stage, and knowing their patterns in advance. But this version doesn't have frame rules. We can arrive here on all sorts of different paces. Uh-oh, what are we gonna do? Well, they're kinda just free. Largely because we have the Fire Flower, but also they seem to just jump every time they come on screen. And you can just jump and snipe them out of the air. It also would seem that they retain their generous hitboxes from the NES version. Jeremy kinda got bailed out on this one, I think. Alright, we're near the end now, and Jeremy is slowing down? You're kidding. Don't tell me we have to dodge fireworks again. Yep, this stage ends on 243, which would mean 3 fireworks if we didn't slow down. But wait, this one I'm really surprised you can't get 244 on, because you literally can do that on the original version. The task uses left plus right and can finish the stage a couple frames before it ticks down to 43. But even with Mario Deluxe's own special left plus right acceleration, you can't get 244. In fact, it's 12 frames away from 244. In 8-1 we can beat the stage a full game second sooner, but we lose a game second on 8-3? Someone please make it make sense. I have to be honest guys, I don't know. I don't understand the timer on this version. I couldn't figure it out. If someone else knows, be my guest. At one point, I actually thought I finally had it figured out. I noticed the flag in 8-1 is actually closer to the staircase on Game Boy than on NES, so that must be why you finished solidly with a 201. But the flagpole is also a block closer to the stairs in 8-3 on Game Boy. Why do we get 343 and not 44? I don't understand. But whether I understand or not, the fact is, we have to slow down for fireworks here. Jeremy does that, and he's on to the final stage. The start of 8-4 is really hard on this version. You have a 2-frame window to jump off the step, or else you'll plunge to your doom. Jeremy nails it, and this run is now very serious. He's only been this far in 453 pace once before. The nerves are definitely setting in, but it's far from over. He gets a nice little boost on the moving platform and fireballs this piranha plant so he can enter the pipe. Having a fire flower will save a ton of time entering pipes throughout 8-4. On the next screen, we have the famous 8-4 wall jump, which you may or may not have seen before. Except, on the Game Boy version, with Mario's slower rising jumps, Jeremy has to do the wall jump 1 block lower than usual. He gets the frame perfect jump and fireballs the plant inside. Room 3 is straightforward. There's no wrong warp to the water section with the earlier pipe, you just take the intended one. Now in the water section, we finally make use of the ability to move the screen around. Pressing select will move the screen forward, which loads this firebar earlier and lets it move out of the way. And thankfully this other one isn't in the way when we reach it, because you can't do the crouch swimming technique that you'd normally do to get past this one as Big Mario. Jeremy swims nicely through the rest of the water section, and he's made it to the final room, faster than anyone ever before. He takes care of the Hammer Bro, and it's just Bowser left. Bowser is super weird on this version. He jumps most of the time, but he doesn't always. You don't want to jump over him, because if he jumps, you'll get hit. So, you play a game of chicken, charge straight at him, and hope he jumps first. Jeremy has put forward all the skill necessary to get the world's first 453. Now, he needs to get lucky. And he does! Bowser jumps. I'm not sure what's going on with his hitbox in this version. This is so weird looking. But that's it! That's the fastest Super Mario Bros. Has been beaten among all the different versions. Well, okay, that's not counting like Speed Mario Bros. But yeah, it's awesome that 453 is possible and even happened, even if we had to play on Game Boy to do it. Big shoutouts to Jeremy MKW for pulling this run off. He's also the former world record holder for the warpless speedrun of the original game, and has the current warpless world record for Mario Deluxe. And he used Luigi for that run, which makes me very happy. But alright, you know I promised we could go even lower than 453 at the start of this video and in the title. So we won't dawdle. On to 452. Let's look at the best places to improve this run. The only real mistake in Jeremy's run was the climb up to the vine in 4.2. That lost about 0.2 seconds as mentioned before. That would get us to 453.4, so we'll have to find at least half a second somewhere through new or better strategies. First off, there are actually a couple things Jeremy didn't know about, which would have saved him time. See, on the NES version, you can shoot fireballs on the ground without slowing down. In these games, the button you need to press to shoot fireballs is the same button you need to hold to make Mario run faster. But most Mario games, including the original, have a nice grace period, where you can release B and repress it without Mario slowing down. That is not the case in Mario Deluxe. Mario will start slowing down immediately after you release B. If you want to avoid any slowdown, you need to shoot them while in the air. Jeremy didn't realize this, and he shot some while on the ground a couple times, so that lost him a few frames at least. It's not much, but every 1/10 of a second is a big pickup at this point. There's another little thing he didn't know about in the 4.2 warp zone. Remember how I explained that you get a boost when running through 1-block gaps like this? Well, there's another opportunity to do that in 4.2. It's really unintuitive, but it's actually a bit faster to take this bottom path and get a push forward from being inside the mushroom platforms. Plus, if you move down to the warp pipes like this, that can save a few frames as well. Alright, now let's talk about 2 more places where we can pick up quite a bit of time actually. Those places are grabbing flagpoles after the timer ticks down to avoid fireworks, and the map screens. There's probably always going to be at least some frames here. Starting with the flagpoles, most of the time Jeremy did pretty well with this. Like in 4.1, he only grabbed the flagpole 2 frames after the timer ticked down. But on some other stages, he was a bit slower, losing 7 or 8 frames, which really starts to add up. How much does it add up to between all the flagpoles in the run? 21 frames. That's a funny coincidence, since that's the exact length of a frame rule in the original game. But wait, there's more guys. This is crazy. Let's sum up how many frames he lost when advancing through all the map screens throughout the run. You are kidding. 21 frames? What are the chances? That's uncanny. Anyway, that means there's 0.7 seconds total to save between these 2 things. Here are my ideas for how to best approach saving these frames. For the map screens, I think the best way to optimize this would be to watch the flashing coin at the top to get a rough idea of when the transition is going to happen, and try to time pressing start shortly after that. That's my idea for the map screens. Now for optimizing the flagpoles. I actually think we can really consistently save most of the time here. We want to grab the flagpole as soon as possible after the timer ticks down, right? Jeremy usually did a backwards jump to slow down during the stage, or on 8.1, he just waited at the end and tried to time it manually. Since then, I figured out a really good way to approach this. I think the best way is to start each level without holding B. Let Mario walk for a certain period of time at the start of each level, and then hold B to start running. This is good because it will be a consistent movement with a consistent visual cue. For example, on 4.1, you can walk at the start and time pushing B when Mario gets near the edge of the castle. There's a 3-frame window here to start holding B and not lose any time on the flagpole grab. and there's a 5-frame window to only lose 1 frame on the flagpole. And this same thing can be done on 8-1 and 8-3 as well. 8-2 is the hard one, since you'll have to actually do the fast jump over this pipe, and it'll be harder to go at a consistent speed. But yeah, using this concept, I think it should be possible to get almost all of the flagpole frames. Of the 42 frames available between the map screen and the flagpole grabs, I think you could realistically get 30 of them and save half a second. That already would get us to 452. But there's one more strategy we should include as well. In 8-4, Jeremy had to do the wall jump 1 block lower than usual because of the different physics in this game. But because of the different physics in this game, you can actually do the wall jump 1 block higher than usual. I know that sounds weird, but basically, jumping from the floor to the middle of the pipe doesn't work. But jumping from this earlier pipe does work. Doing the wall jump this way will save another small bit of time and bring things down to about 452.6 or so. All of this together is the path to 452. I made a demo of what a run could look like doing all of these things, and it's linked in the description if you're curious. Once again, however, this isn't the end of the road. The TAS of this game is 451. How? Well, one thing we can be sure of at least is where the TAS isn't saving time. A lot of this run has us waiting around to avoid fireworks, or even for the vine to grow. The TAS really can only save time prior to 4-1, in the 4-2 warp zone, or in 8-4. Most of the time it saves is in that first section. King Kappa, who made the TAS, realized it could be faster to get the power-up somewhere else. The 1-1 power-up is pretty slow to get. There are much faster power-ups later in the game. But we have to be fully powered up with a fire flower before the end of 1-2, so we can get the piranha plant out of the way. That only leaves a couple of options. The fastest solution is to get the mushroom at the start of 1-2, and then get this fire flower at the end of 1-2. The problem, if you were to try to do this for real-time runs, is that it's way harder. Getting the flower at the end of 1-2 means you won't have it for the rest of the stage. This Koopa section becomes crazy hard. It's a frame-perfect jump to get past him, and that's only if you had great movement through here, so you can jump over him in time. Frame perfect doesn't properly describe the difficulty of getting through here. You would also have to get past these piranha plants. Pipe jumps are very hard on this version, since the plant hitboxes are bigger. It's a lot like Mario All-Stars actually. You have a 1, sometimes 2 frame window to jump over them. And even if you do get through all of that, the power-up grab itself isn't easy, although that part could definitely be learned. King Kappa also does something really smart here, and uses select to move the screen forward, so this platform loads earlier and gets out of the way just in time. So yeah, if you manage to do this power-up route, you'd save a good chunk. Another big chunk comes from just doing the 1-2 clip way faster. This, I'm not sure how reasonable this is. I feel like you could probably get it after spamming hundreds of attempts at it, but for runs, I don't know. These are the type of things necessary to make 451 possible though, which is the ultimate goal, so maybe someday. Actually, the rabbit hole never ends, guys. I'm still going. It's possible to beat this game even faster. If you optimize each stage, if you include everything, and I mean everything, including left plus right, we can get 450. King Kappa's TAS, which gets 451, is a TAS which specifically does not press left and right at the same time. He has another TAS which does use left plus right, and that one clocks in at 450.5. In this game, Mario accelerates faster when you hold left plus right. He does this weird backwards skid and accelerates a couple frames faster than normal. The biggest reason this saves time in the TAS is because when you do the TAS power-up route and get the fire flower at the end of 1-2, that means you aren't getting the mushroom in 1-1. And in that case, even with perfect movement, even with this wall jump in the underground section, with every known optimization, Mario reaches the flagpole 1 frame too late. He has to wait for fireworks again. The no left plus right TAS slows down to avoid fireworks on literally every flagpole stage. Man, this game doesn't have frame rules, but we sure wait for the firework bus all the time. Anyway, the TAS with left plus right can accelerate faster and get a clean 372 on 1-1. That plus the faster acceleration throughout the rest of the run makes 450 possible. Left plus right is generally banned in the majority of speedruns because it's not possible on original hardware. A properly functioning Game Boy D-pad is not going to push both directions at the same time. If people did want to mess with it, either on keyboard or some other unconventional means, it's really easy to do and save time with. Maybe there's a case to make a category for this. Either way, that's it, folks. 450 is officially, technically, possible. And that's the end of the road. This is the fastest version of the fastest version of Super Mario Bros. We cannot go faster than this. This series is done. I will say there is something else out there to talk about, but it's insane. I'm not sure if I'll make a video on it because it's very complicated, but there really is a way to beat SMB1 even faster. And we're talking the original, no obscure or different version. How fast, do you ask? Maybe 449? 448? Much lower. I think I will end up making that video on it at some point, but I will need a lot of help. We'll see. For now, thanks for watching this video and all my videos like this. Subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.